Hello, I hope you enjoy my World Book Day digital extravaganza. Next up is a conversation with me and Saena Tetlow. Saena wrote this book here. It's called Dead Man's Coin. But here's the thing. She's a published author. She's only 16 years old. Let's see how she does it. So, warm-up question. This is the big one, is where do ideas come from? Do we make ideas inside our brains, or do they come from somewhere else and go into our brains? And if they come from somewhere else, where do they come from? What do you think?
That's a great question. I would say that they do come from your brains, but they're very influenced by everything around you. I got a lot of my ideas from books I've read and shows that I've watched and manipulated them to my own preference. But I do think that they stem from something that has been originally created and you just have a special extra twist that you add to it, and
Ooh,
or something that you've thought of from a very young age maybe, and it's just a reimagined idea that you've just thought of again and expanded. That's what I would say.
that's a really good way of thinking about it. Yeah, so maybe all ideas are things we've already thought of, but we just think of them in a slightly different way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I I worked out a while ago that if I could find a way to have each of my thoughts just once and then move on, I think I could rule the world by the end of the year. But mainly we just
Yeah.
think the same things again and again and again, don't we? And just we're
Hmm.
thinking like, oh, this is new, but it's not. So we do
Yeah.
make the ideas, but we're constantly recycling them. That's really interesting. I like that. So
Mhm.
you said when we're young we have these ideas, but you're still quite young, aren't you? Say, may I ask how old you are?
I'm 17.
17. And but you're a published author. You've got this book here, Dead Man's
Yes.
Coin. And
Yeah.
how old were you when you wrote this book?
I came up with the idea when I was maybe 11, but I didn't start writing it till I was 14 in lockdown.
Okay, so you had the idea when you were 11, but then lockdown gave you the time and the opportunity, and there wasn't a lot else to do, was there, in lockdown?
No, there really wasn't. I just spent
Yeah.
my entire lockdown writing. And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Once you've made banana bread for the seventh time, then it was time to write a novel. Wonderful. So
exactly.
how long did it take you to write?
Going into the garden gets a bit.
So how long? So it did it take you 2 years,
I
three
think
years?
it took around 3 years from start to finish
Hmm.
with editing and rewriting and everything. But I think the original draft took 6 months.
Yes. So if you were 11 when you had the idea, can you remember having the original idea and how it came and what happened?
I remember that the prologue I wrote when I was 12, and it's the same prologue. I haven't changed it. I've maybe changed a few words, but I remember coming up with the idea probably when I was 11. I don't think I thought of anything other than she lives on a boat,
Mm.
but which obviously she doesn't in the book. But I wanted there to be boats and someone dead
Yes.
and a murder mystery. I was very into murder mysteries when I was 11, so I wanted to write one.
Very nice. Can I read the blurb on the back? Oh, I need my
Yeah,
glasses for this because I am old. So it's Venice, 1904. When Rosie finds a dead body holding a rare coin, her normal life is shattered. Facing threats from the police and a powerful crime lord with eyes everywhere, Rosie is led towards her own dark family history and a shadowy figure that seems to be watching her every move. Join Rosie Lightwing, her friends, and her cantankerous grey parrot in this first instalment of a thrilling new mystery series by young author Saena Tetlow. Sometimes a secret will cost you your life. So that's quite dark for 11, isn't it? We've got 11-year-olds
yeah.
watching this. This is going out to primary schools all over the country. And do you think they might be told off if they come up with that sort of thing at school, or do you think it's
I
okay?
would have, yeah, I would have said I was not that dark when I was 11 for sure. I didn't think of anything that crazy. I think it was originally also going to be marketed to 11-year-olds, and then I read it back and was like, maybe not. But no, I think my idea was a lot softer, and there was just someone being chased, and it wasn't very detailed. Maybe when I
See,
was younger.
I see. Now, I've thought of a good question. I think you're gonna like this question. Um, when I'm working with children, doing writing workshops and talking about writing, as you know, because you came to lots of my online workshops during lockdown,
Mhm.
I find when young people are writing a big story, and often when you're 11, that's when you have the big ideas. I've had this great idea. It's an entire 6-part fantasy series. It's basically Lord of the Rings in space, and it's got 37 different characters, and it's going to be huge. And you start writing it, and then after about 6 months, um, you read back what you've written so far, and you go, "Ah, this isn't very good." And because what's happened is you've grown as a writer and as a person. Literally, you've grown to taller. And so what you're writing when you're 12 is better than what you're doing when you're 11, and so on and so on and so on. So that
Mhm.
you must have really learnt to write over the period of writing this book. Would that be right?
Definitely, yeah. I didn't see anything coming from writing. It was just a hobby, and then I started getting writing lessons from one of my dad's friends who's like teaches writing, very professional. And it was very suddenly that I really enjoyed writing. And definitely every time I read back my writing, I'm like, oh my God, what is that? Because I still do that to the things I've read, maybe written like last week. I can read it back today and
Living
be
in
like, that
fears.
is bad. But it is basically every day I write more, I learn something new from writing, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, I can tell you that doesn't stop. I still do that. I read stuff I wrote a couple of years ago, and I think, oh no, I can do that. I can do that better now. Which is a
Yeah.
good thing, isn't it? We should all be growing and getting better with our writing. So what when you're writing, what's your sort of timeline? When is there a particular time of day that you write? Do you write for a certain amount of minutes or hours or words, or how does it work for you?
Well, because of college, I usually end up writing on my journey in. I have like quite a long, it's like an hour and a half journey. So I usually end up writing for that entire train ride. And I'd love to say I write when I get home, but that is not the case. It's usually just my hour train ride every day, and then obviously the hour back that I end up writing. And it's not a specific amount of words. I have quite a lot of writing projects linked to school, so I have multiple things that I'm working on. So
Hmm.
um, it just depends on how fast my brain is working that day. At 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock classes, I don't get much in because who's awake at 7:30? Nobody.
Well, it depends. That's for some people. That's the best. That's the best time. It depends. Although I read
Not on
somewhere
my
that
side.
the teenage brain just doesn't work until about 11:30 in the morning.
It
So
really, really doesn't.
yeah, yeah, but like 2 o'clock in the morning, that's when you're on it. Apparently, that's your perfect time.
I've
Whereas for
done that
me,
before.
2 o'clock in the morning, no, it's not happening. Wonderful. So I think an hour and a half writing on a train every day is pretty good. I mean, I have lots of friends who are writers, and I think most of us sort of top out or run out of steam at about 3 hours. I think nobody does more than 3 hours a day. I
Yeah,
know Ian Banks, who you may have read some of his books. He tends to have quite a dark twist to his stuff as well, a lot of mystery stuff. I think he used to do 3 hours in the morning, and then he played golf for the rest of the day.
nice.
That seems to be normal. I try and do an hour every day, and if I do that, I'm doing quite well. And then sometimes um, I've got a day to myself, and then sometimes it just keeps on going, doesn't it? But I
Yeah,
find if you're not careful, and I think for children at school, because obviously at school you've got all the stuff that they're telling you to do all the time, and so you tend to wait for the weekends and the summer holidays if you're not careful. I say, well, when the summer holidays, I'm going to write 3 books. I'm going to write every day.
yeah,
But then you get to the summer holidays, and then it takes you a long time to get your brain into the right gear. But if all through term time you've been writing, if you've done 10 minutes every morning, before breakfast, you do 10 minutes of writing, you do that every day, then your engines are nice and warm, aren't they? And so when you have got the summer holidays or the weekends, or a teacher training day, then you're like, I know what I'm writing, and now I can do more of it. Does that make sense to you? Does that work with
yeah,
your brain?
definitely. When I've taken breaks from writing, I've come back and I've just stared at the document like blankly because it's just like it doesn't come naturally after you've stopped doing it for a while. But yeah, I kept saying after as soon as break, I'll be writing all break, and it only really happens if you actually write regularly, to be honest.
Yes. So writing regularly is the key if you want to be a writer. Fantastic. I was wondering, Sailor, would you do us the honour of could you read us a bit of your book, Dead Man's
Yes,
Coin, please, so we can
of
have
course
a
I can.
flavour of what it's all about? Thank you.
Yes. Um, any specific section?
Well, you choose. I would say something which gives them a flavour of the book. What do you think? You know it better than I do,
Um,
surely.
well, whenever I read something out, I always start with the prologue because it was my favorite part. So I could do that. It's quite, yeah. I have it also on my phone. Okay. Okay. Prologue. A scream in the night. Venice was cold that night, the kind of cold that seeps in through your clothes and chills you to the bone, the kind of cold that sends you shivering and tightening your coat as icy talons dig into your skin, the kind of cold that chases you round corners when you aren't looking and attacks you from behind when you least expect it to. However, the long, cold night would not halt the ever-growing festivities. Large crowds roamed around the streets, wearing masks, extravagant dresses and shirts, top hats, and sparkling jewellery. Gondolas glided on the surface of the dark canal, people sitting inside, talking happily, couples kissing under the starlit sky. Mothers, fathers, and children telling made-up tales to each other to distract themselves from the bitter chill that crept up their skin like a long, cold snake biting into their flesh. Only a few gondolas remained tied to the bank, bobbing gently on the water, as if in rhythm to the slow, drawling music that came from the streets and courtyards. But over the happy cheers, drums beating, and cheerful exclamations, nobody stopped or heard the scream. Someone with a keen ear might have just been able to pick it out, but to no avail. Nobody could have saved that poor soul. Then, to everyone's surprise, the sky erupted with the low booms of thunder, lightning shouted through the noise, and somewhere in the distance it started to rain. That's about it.
Very nice indeed. Very nice indeed. Thank you very much. And you wrote that when you were 11.
Yeah, I think I wrote it when I was 11. It's been through a couple edits, but I've kept the main bit.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's wonderful. Well, I'm halfway through reading this, so when I finished it, I'll know what happens at the end. Although it
Brilliant.
does say on the back here, like I said, it says the first installment of a thrilling new mystery series. So, is there another one in the
Yes.
pipeline?
There is definitely another one, probably more. It's gone through its first draft, so it's going back for edits currently. But yeah, it just keeps going. So get
Fantastic.
excited.
And do you have a title for the new book, the second book?
No, I have
No.
no idea what it's called. No, I'm still thinking about it. It has to have the same ring as the other one, so it's all going through that phase right now.
Oh, you're going to have second album syndrome. Do you know about second album syndrome?
No.
So they say with new bands that your first album is basically all the great ideas and songs that you've ever had in your entire life as a band, and then the second album you've got to think of some new stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's basically
so this book here, Dead Man's Coin, this is like this is your whole writing teenage period. So now you've got to think of something new, haven't you? So how's that process been? You finished the first draft.
yes. So I finished the first draft. Um I honestly enjoy it more than the first one, probably because I cringe less at my writing. But it's yeah, it's taken a really long time because of college and everything. So I didn't think it was going to get finished at all. But it's done the first draft, and I've given it to a very critical friend who said he would read it for me, and give me feedback. So
That's
hopefully it
that's
will.
what we need. We need a critical friend, don't we? Yes. Do you have? Is there somebody in your life that you always share what you're writing with?
Um, apart from Leon, who edits and edits my work for me, I think probably my dad
Yeah.
probably reads and edits quite a lot of my writing.
Yes. I think everybody should. Everybody that's writing, we need to choose somebody that we trust and that gives us the right sort of feedback. I think you want Because just because it's your dad doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to give you the right sort of feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was your age, I used to show everything to my mum. My mum's not a writer. Bless her, I love her to bits, but she's not a creative person at all. Sorry, that's not. I'm sure she's creative in many ways that I just don't know. So I would give her what I'd written, and she would correct the spellings and punctuation and give it back to me. And
Yeah,
I didn't want that. What I wanted, is this good? What am I to, can is how do I make this better? But my mum, she's really good at spelling and grammar, so that's what she did. But she at that point she was the wrong person for me to be sharing my stuff with. So I actually found that what I really loved doing was reading my stories to my friends at playtime in the playgrounds. And I would go, look, what do you think about this? And then people would laugh, and that was my feedback, because that was all I wanted really. I just wanted people to
yeah,
laugh and go, that's really good. That I didn't want
yeah,
anything else.
definitely.
I want the spelling and the grammar can wait, really, can't it? But yeah, so to find the right person. Do you have so what we've done there is we've accidentally created a tip for children watching this who want to be writers. Can you think of any other tips? Because people like tips, don't they? You got any tips?
For writing, I would say, what's a good tip? I'd say read a lot. It's very cliche, but it definitely does help. Reading a lot of books and also just writing all the time. If something's stuck, just write something else. If you write anything every day, it'll get better and better. And
Mm.
yeah, just enjoy it. Just if it's not fun, then you're not writing the right thing.
Oh, I like that. So if it's got hard, do something else. Yes. So read lots. Yeah, it's not. Is that a cliche? It's just true, isn't it? It's like if you be a bit like saying if you want to learn to swim, get in the water,
Yeah, it's
wouldn't
just
it? Is
true.
that a cliche? So well, yeah, if you want to work with words, read lots of words. Yeah.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
exactly.
yeah. I mean, I think maybe sometimes we think I don't need to read anything else because I'm going to create something new that nobody else has ever thought of. No, read lots of books. Definitely
Definitely.
wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm going to continue enjoying reading Dead Man's Coin, and I can't wait for the next book, depending on whatever it's called. Can't wait till you think of a title. That'll be great.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much for joining us on World Book
Thank
Day.
you.
It's a very special day for lots of people. Lovely to meet you, Saena Tetlow. Whoa, stop! People need to buy the book, don't they? If you like the sound of Dead Man's Coin,
By the book.
then you can get this in all the usual places, bookshops. You can get it on the Amazon and all the rest of it. I will put a link on my website so it's easy for people to find. So that's Dead Man's Coin, Saena Tetlow. Looks like that. Look it up. Go and get yourself a copy. And Saena, it's an absolute privilege to see you. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank you
day
so
and
much.
happy World
And
Book
you.
Day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Indeed. Thank you. So, oh,